Thank you, Madam Chairman. When I worked in the Justice Department on counterterrorism cases, Hezbollah, we were obviously Al-Qaeda was the #1 priority, but Hezbollah, in many respects, has a greater sophistication by far. We were always concerned about the presence of Hezbollah, much heavier presence in the Western Hemisphere, more so than Al-Qaeda. But we always viewed them as more of a sort of terrorist financing support mechanism rather than an operational cell, for instance. Then the Saudi ambassador plot unfolds, and that's a bit of a game changer. Univision does this report on a cyber plot to attack the United States involving the Iranian ambassador. That became an eye-opener. I think, Mr. Braun, as you stated, counterterrorism and counter-narcotics the two have come together. And when you look at this quote from Hugo Chavez over here, Ahmadinejad and I are going into the basement now to set our sights on Washington and launch cannons and missiles. Now, he said that was a joke, but I fail to see that humor in that statement. In fact, there may be some truth to that statement. So my question is, have they made the transition from merely support to operational? I guess, Mr. Braun, you'd be the best person to start out on that.
Well, I think they have. I believe, Congressman, they have made the transition. And I would say again that it has their ability, to execute is strengthened by the close relations that they are working hard to develop with very powerful organized criminal organizations in our neighborhood and throughout Latin America, as well as with designated terrorist organizations like the FARC. These groups allow them to operate freely in our neighborhood, and they're getting closer to our doorstep. And if we don't do something about it and really get serious about it, then again, I don't want to sound too crude, but I think there's going to be hell to pay at some date in the probably not in the not too distant future.
Well, the conventional wisdom, when we get these briefings, I always ask the question, and they say, well, the drug cartels would never associate themselves with any sort of terrorist organization because they don't want the blowback that would be associated with that. And yet, Operation Titan, I think, pretty well revealed and underscored the fact that there is a relationship between the two.
Well, there's an unequivocal relationship, and that is exactly why I believe General Clapper used the attempted plot or the plot to kill or assassinate the Saudi Arabian ambassador to the United States. The reason he used that is because he knew he could rely on it. It is not just some piece of intelligence or pieces of intelligence. It's intelligence and information that has been converted into evidence that would pass a judicial test in any federal courthouse in the United States. And we have the greatest system of justice in the world. In our federal courts system, and it's not an easy thing to get evidence admitted, as you well know, based on your past experience, admitted into a court of law. So there is an unequivocal connection. Let me just mention one thing about Operation Titan, anecdotally that will paint an absolutely clear picture on the amounts of money that are generated in the Hezbollah, supported and facilitated by Quds Force activity and the growing cocaine trade throughout Latin America. One small piece of that Op Titan initiative resulted in the delivery of a very close associate and affiliate of the Hezbollah, the guy that apparently was in Latin America, responsible for putting a lot of these multi-ton loads together, moving them into West Africa, and ultimately responsible for collecting massive amounts of bulk cash. Part of that operation involved the delivery on the part of that money launderer to a DEA undercover operative, an agent that spoke fluent Arabic, of $36 million in cash. They were having a tough time moving it out of the Western Hemisphere and into Africa and beyond. That agent actually took delivery of $20 million in cash as part of that investigation.
I want to make one more point because my time's running out, and that is the Revolutionary Guard, Quds forces, Iranian intelligence officers. They're here in the United States, in my judgment. They're in Mexico. CSUN has told me they can't even quantify. They don't know how many officers are in their own country. And that's probably true throughout Latin America. I think expelling these officers would be a very smart idea. I think designating the Revolutionary Guard as a foreign terrorist organization, which we were surprised they hadn't been, would be a helpful tool, I think, from a law enforcement standpoint. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with it.
Yeah. I see my time has expired. Thank you.